one of the key questions is always, what is the economic impact of broadband? Everybody thinks that there's something there, but how do you measure it? A number of years ago, we were talking to Dave Mason and Jim Herman, and they had wired, if you will, brought fiber to all of Keene Valley about 10 years ago. And they actually went back to the businesses and did some surveys, and they found that the people that vacationed there stayed longer, therefore buying more gas, more groceries, what have you, and that the businesses were now having a much bigger percentage of their business was online. So that was kind of a local example. And then recently, at the beginning of the pandemic, I found this research that really brought home the potential impact of access to high-speed broadband economically. Just at the beginning of the pandemic, there was a major piece of research that was published, and so I think it got a little bit lost. It's a collaboration between GoDaddy, strange name, but it happens to be the world's biggest register of domain names for websites, and researchers from the University of Iowa and the University of Arizona. They collaborated. They looked at some 20 million points of data from May of 2018 to May of 2019. And the idea was, could they define a new variable, a new way to measure the impact, the economic impact of high-speed internet access. And they got the data down to county level, even zip code level. And they were able to, using multivariate analysis and all that good stuff, they pulled out and they sort of leveled the playing field. So they looked at broadband subscriptions. So a county that would have a lot of subscriptions, they took that out so they could be compared to a county without a lot of subscriptions. They looked at the economic demographics for the county. They looked at the occupation. So a county with a lot of IT people, they took that out. So somebody that didn't have it, they could compare it. And the result was just amazing. They came up with something called a venture. It is a unique website domain, I'll call it name, associated with like a new business, a nonprofit, somebody doing something on the internet. And what they found in this time period, 2016 to 2018, if you had each new active venture, this one active website for a new business, a new nonprofit in a county, raised the median income for that county over $400. It's just absolutely, it's incredible. If you look at the 2017, 2018, the percentage of students eligible for free and reduced lunches in Clinton, Essex, and Franklin County was in excess of 45%. That's an indication of the economic hardship that this area faces. Put all that aside, then you have, from a provider standpoint, the challenge is I need a certain number of density, I'll call it, of subscribers to be able to build out and make money. I've got two costs. One is the capital investment to build the network to new subscribers, and the second is, once I've got that network in place, is just operating it. To build out something called make-ready, the ability to put your fiber or your cable on a telephone pole. It costs about 40% of the overall cost to simply get on a pole that's owned by Verizon or National Grid or NYSEG. Once you're on a pole and you've got the network built out, operationally I'm now paying annual local property taxes, I'm paying pole rentals, and this one just drives me nuts, is I'm paying a fee to the state of New York to anytime I have fiber on state right-of-way in state land. So you've got the state government on one side, the governor saying, I want 100% of the state of New York to have access to high-speed broadband. On the other hand, you got the Department of Transportation that is now charging a fee for fiber, only fiber, not electrical, not phone, not coax, just fiber. It's costing companies like Slick over $2,000 a year per mile to lay fiber down a state right-of-way. And so they can't afford to expand the network. So you got the governor saying, I want 100% coverage, and you got the DOT preventing economically companies from actually making the extension. Then you got competition. In a town that has a Spectrum franchise, typically in the hamlets, in the villages, you'll have multiple providers. You might have a Spectrum, a Slick, a Dank, a Frontier, whatever. But outside the town, the only network you've got is Spectrum. So at the periphery of its network, it is the only game in town. There's nobody else out there. There's no other competitor. Affectionately say that it has the monopoly of the unserved, underserved. And then when you get to cell coverage, the last challenge is the existing infrastructure of cell towers. You may have seen this as the amount of traffic goes up against the cell tower, its cone of coverage comes down. So the classic example, I get some friends that drive from Paul Smith's to Malone a lot. And over the last couple of years, they have seen the spaces where they had good coverage get smaller and smaller and smaller. The equipment hasn't changed. It's just simply the traffic on those cell towers has gone up. So there's a whole myriad of issues. And then put the topography on top of that, and the APA, et cetera. A lot of challenges in this area.